We're both looking at the development of legacy linked to sports events, whether they be what you might call a mega sport event, which would be the Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games. It wouldn't be for me to say whether the Surf Life Saving Association Championships are a mega event or whether I'd be like another event I worked on, the Women's European Football Championships, which you'd say is a little bit under there, next level down. But the point is, can you use those events to increase participation, increase awareness of the sport? Is it a feasible outcome of actually hosting an event? Obviously, the research that's out there at the moment says it doesn't happen. The reason it doesn't happen, I mean, think of it logically. So you had Sydney. Say Sydney had said, as London had said, we're going to get 2 million people being more active. Now, think of the laziest person you can, and think of that person. And just because we've got the London 2012 Games, or just because you had Sydney 2000, can you see that person leaping off their settee and starting to run around the streets? The answer is no. They're more likely to do even more sitting and even more watching of the sport on the television. But that's because it's so big. Having worked on both the Commonwealth Games and then the Women's Football Championships, which in the northwest of England, we localised it into the northwest. So we used those elite women footballers, but we got them going out into schools. And then those girls made a relationship with them who saw them. They did programs, they did some football coaching with these stars, and then they wanted to go and see them play. Whereas if you take perhaps the FIFA World Cup, the concept of Wayne Rooney from England or Harry Kewell or whatever going into a school and doing some coaching and therefore the kids being inspected just doesn't happen. It's too big. So I think to make the trickle-down effect work, you've got to what I call localise it. So the person can actually say that the Olympic Games, the Women's Football Championships, whatever, have something to do with me. I can feel a personal connection to it. Therefore, I want to engage with it. If it's too big, as in England at the moment, in the north of England, we have a big north-south divide anyway. In the north of England, people say, it's in London, nothing to do with me, I don't want anything to do with it. And there are people in the north of England who would be delighted if it was a complete disaster. They'd say, ha, told you so, you know, we did it far better in Manchester. So they don't want to engage with it. They don't feel it's got anything to do with them. So they're certainly not going to be the sort of people who would therefore be inspired and say, yes, I want to do more physical activity because of this inspirational thing, the Olympic and Paralympic Games in our country. That's my whole research, because then I say, okay, if what we have set out this time, and to be fair, London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games is the first Olympic Games that has set out purposely to increase sports participation because of the Games. It's never been a prerequisite, you must do it. But the IOC Charter was changed. And this is the first Games where this new part of the Charter, which says the host country will increase sport for all in that country. That's the first time it's come into play. So we've set out deliberately to do it. So great. So but what I'm saying is rather than count numbers, so say we could show, we've got what's called the Active People Survey, and it started 2 or 3 years ago. So we've got our baseline figures. All the national governing bodies have to show what their participation numbers are. So we've got a baseline. Now say we show in 2013 that they've all gone up. How can we definitely say that that was because of the Olympic and Paralympic Games? There could be 101 different reasons why somebody started to go cycling, swimming, take up pole vault, whatever it is. So rather than look at it numerically, which is important, I want to look at process. So what is it about the Olympic and Paralympic Games that the national governing bodies of sport are using in their work that they're doing anyway? What is it about that bit that they can make a difference? How do they use this, what you might, if you call it a magic box, the magic dust, whatever you want to call it, how do they use that bit to make a difference to their work? And if you can, to me, if you can find that out, then you've got something really tangible and useful to pass on to future event organisers to say, okay, this is what we found in London.